hello. I want to tell your guest about the Bilderberg Group.
Right.
Okay, the People's Almanac number 3, by David Wallechinsky and Irving Wallace, back in 1981. Okay, and they have, starting on page 70, they have 6 contenders as to who's really in charge. Then they have the Bilderberg Group, the IMF, the World Bank, the Business Roundtable, the Trilateral Commission, and they have like a whole 3.5 pages about the Bilderberg.
Right. Of course, the question is, everybody wants to say it's all the Bilderbergers. Some people want to say it's all the Trilateral Commission. Some people want to say it's all the Vatican. Some people want to say it's all the Jesuits or it's all the Knights of Malta. Behind this whole thing is the satanic conspiracy, Jimmy. And there really is another dimension. There really are demonic forces that are working to destroy Christian civilization, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. Thanks to, of course, to many of our major media personalities, people like Oprah Winfrey, who's pushing this whole radical New Age anti-Christian agenda. Hey, thanks so much for being with us, and we'll be back in just a moment. Give us a call, 1-888-24-LIBERTY.
And then again in the book of Revelations, chapter 3 and verse 7, to have Jesus open.
Well, Bob, you go right ahead.
Yes, how you doing?
I think my feeling on all of that is, look, they're all interconnected.
Right.
The housing, the most important elements are the black nobility of Europe. I mean, they go back more than 10 centuries. And, the Vatican has to be involved. To what extent, I don't know, and I don't think very few people do. But they have to be involved, otherwise they wouldn't have survived. And so you've got that with all of these organizations that you and I have mentioned, and all of the foundations and think tanks. And they control them all. And they try to herd people around because they want to dominate them in finality. They want to do away with 80% of the useless eaters in the world, and they want to create a world for Satan.
No question at all, and it took me a long time to figure that out. Well, let's go to Bob, who's calling from Ohio. Bob, do you have a question or comment for our guest?
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. Yes, the comment is, if you remember the debate with Al Gore and Ross Perot in '94 with NAFTA, at that time they were already setting the seeds to go to the mantra that fair trade caused the Depression. And I believe we've already been in a depression for a couple years. The depression may go on 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They will never, ever admit that it was the free trade that caused the depression, and we're going to be in this for a long time, and they will never, ever admit that, and we're never going to change these trade laws because, Bob, you're saying you're going on these various shows, and they're always trying to confuse the public, saying that the free trade caused the last depression, and the free trade is, the fair trade is what's going to cause this depression. They're never going to admit.
Well, they're never going to admit it, Bob. That's why we have to educate the public and why you have to help us. So certainly we can just say, well, there's no sense doing anything. We might as well just jump off a bridge someplace. Well, we have to keep trying. And believe me, when people hear the truth, eventually they begin to understand.
Let me tell you one other thing. I don't want to mention too much further, but I spent thousands of hours, believe me, all through the 90s, trying to educate people on GATT in 94 and normal permanent trade relations in 98 and so on. And I know where I speak, and I know Bob is saying that we can maybe do it, but I agree with Bob. It's going to end in the streets. These people are never...
Hold that thought. We're going to be back here in just a moment with Bob Chapman from the International Forecaster. Hang on there, please. Well, this is Dr. Stan back here, and of course our guest is Bob Chapman. Bob, before we go on, I want you to tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you, how they can subscribe to the International Forecaster, and what they will learn if they do subscribe to the International Forecaster.
Well, the forecast is about business, finance, economics, social and political issues all over the world. We publish on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and it usually runs around 35 or 40 pages each time. We have a hard copy that goes out twice a month as well for those who are not on the Internet. If you'd like to get a free introductory copy, there's 3 ways you can do that. You can go to our site. That address is theinternationalforecaster.com. theinternationalforecaster.com. You can go and email us. That address is Bob, B-O-B, at INTFORECASTER.com. That's Bob at intforecaster.com. Or you can call toll-free 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. And Bill, anything else you want to say before we let you go?
No, that was Bob.
Okay. Bob, anything else you want to say before we let you go?
I basically said my piece on the
God bless.
situation.
Thanks very much for calling. Let's go to Karen calling from Sacramento. Again, our telephone number, 1-888-24-LIBERTY, 1-888-24-LIBERTY, or 464-8295. And Karen, do you have a question or comment?
This time I have a comment. Bob, I'm one of your happy subscribers in Sacramento, California. And I noticed, I was reading the other night and had the news on, just the regular, flaky, normal Channel 10 or something. But they had a list on, and it says the things that most people are buying, the most popular things people are buying these days. At the top was chocolate, then Spam. I don't remember the others, but at the bottom it said gold coins, and I thought of you. I thought, wow, if just the regular run-of-the-mill news is picking up on that, and people are, and they also said people don't trust their government. And I thought,
well, I think one of the items, I don't know whether it was on there or not, are guns and ammunition as well, because
that may have been
people. Did they have it on there?
You know, they may have, and it was one of those things where it was a flash.
Okay, well, anything else you want to say, Karen? I think that's a very, very astute observation.
Well, I sure thought about you guys.
Okay.
Thursday in the Sacramento Bee on the Capitol in California front page, it says explorers trained to take on terrorists, and I know Alex Jones had it on one of his articles, but it says Imperial, California, 10 minutes into errant mayhem in this town near the Mexican border. This is a group of young kids training, and a disgruntled Iraq war veteran has already taken out 2 people, one slumped in his death, the other covered in blood on the floor. And it goes on about how these young kids, the youngest being 14, are being trained. Oh. And one young girl, Kathy Noriego, also 16, said she was attracted by the guns, and it describes these compressed air guns they use, and she says, I like shooting them. I like the sound they make. It gets me excited. Well, and the article is sickening.
Well, I think they were actually trying to train our scouts, or special types of Boy Scouts, for all this anti-terrorist action. They're really talking about going after the people who value their freedom and don't want to, of course, to have a dictatorship in America. What we need to do is reach the people, let them understand our Constitution and the fact that we can only have freedom if they limit the power of government over the lives of the people. Thanks so much, Karen.
Thank you.
Let's go to Bill, who's calling us from Oklahoma. Again, our telephone number is 1-888-24-LIBERTY, 1-888-24-LIBERTY, or 464-8295. Our guest is Bob Chapman from the International Forecaster. And Bill, go right ahead.